and Kamala and Joe Biden going to do for Vietnamese Americans with a Democratic Senate? If we turn out to elect Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, the Democratic Senate is going to deliver concrete, positive change to our communities. Democratic Senate can send us COVID-19 relief, which we've been needing for months, improve healthcare, deliver racial justice to communities of color, and a lot more. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris also have specific plans to help the Vietnamese American community. They're going to reestablish the President's Advisory Commission on Asian American and Pacific Islanders to ensure that there are federal agencies out there considering Asian American and Pacific Islanders, including Vietnamese Americans, in the design and the implementation of federal programs, and that there are going to be Vietnamese American leaders who have a voice in the Biden administration, just like my older brother, Dong. He was co-chair of this President's Advisory Commission during the Obama years. He resigned in frustration when it came time to trying to work with the Trump administration. It's time to bring back that commission and people like my brother and other progressive Vietnamese Americans. The new administration is also going to combat the recent rise in hate crimes against Asian American Pacific Islanders, including Vietnamese Americans, by giving the Justice Department the money and the resources to prosecute these crimes. So if you've been upset like I have every time the president says Kung flu, or every time someone says the China virus or the Chinese virus, you're going to need to go out there and vote if we have any chance to try to stop this kind of anti-Asian discrimination and racism. The new administration is also going to spark small business growth in our communities by fully funding the Minority Business Development Agency budget, which will micro-target Vietnamese American business owners to help them recover from the Trump recession. Now, I've been more and more vocal in my op-eds and in social media, trying to stir up and to rally the Asian American progressive cause, but also the Vietnamese American progressive cause as well. If you're Vietnamese American, you're probably well aware that we have the highest proportion of conservative voters in the Asian American community. But that doesn't mean we don't have a very substantial progressive community as well. We have Democratic elected officials like Viet Nguyen in the Georgia House of Representatives. And there are many others out there working to try to change this country, head into a more positive direction, more progressive directions. I hope you're going to join me and everybody else here in voting for Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. And it's my pleasure to introduce an icon of the sports world, the skating world, and for the Asian American world as well, Michelle Kwan. Michelle Kwan, I think you already all know this, is a former American figure skater, 2-time Olympic medalist, 5-time world champion, 9-time US champion. She also served as director of surrogates for the Biden-Harris presidential campaign and is currently serving as a senior advisor on the presidential inaugural committee. Let's all give it up for Michelle Kwan.
Viet, thank you so much for that introduction. It's so awesome to see you. It's great to be on this call with all of you. Call with, like you said, all our Asian American Pacific Islander, our brothers and sisters who are really stepping up during this critical time. This Tuesday will be such a pivotal day and a game changer for the next 4 years and on. As you all know, Asian American Pacific Islanders can really make a difference in the outcome of the Georgia Senate races. Georgia's AAPI community turned out, like you said, Viet, in incredible numbers in November. And it was wonderful to see that the turnout doubled compared to 2016 in Georgia. In 2016, I actually campaigned really hard for Hillary Clinton and was completely devastated, similar to probably all of you with the result. And when I was asked to join then Vice President Biden, his campaign, I knew I had to do it. And I was very proud to serve on Joe Biden's presidential campaign. And I started on day one, and I worked on the campaign for 558 days. And now on the presidential inauguration committee, we are, 17 days till the swearing in, preparing for inaugural festivities. It'll be a little bit different. A lot of it will be virtual, but we can finally turn the page, say goodbye to 45 and welcome Joe Biden as the 46th president and Kamala Harris as the first female first African American, first Asian American vice president. I think it's a hallelujah moment. But January 20th will definitely be a historic moment, where we turn the page from a Trump presidency to a president that will lead with integrity, compassion, experience, and vision. And I can tell you that January 20th will even be sweeter if Tuesday we win. When we win, when John Ossoff, Reverend Warnock win the races so that the Democrats can control the US Senate, which means that we'll have Senate majority and President Joe Biden will be able to pursue and implement the legislative agenda that he was elected on. The future of healthcare, as you said, Varun, with ACA, there's so much at stake. The economy is at stake. The planet are all on the line. No big deal. We need to unite and really heal this country. I can't stress how important this week, how important Tuesday is, and how big our community, Asian American Pacific Islander community, is to this election. When folks talk about the electoral margin of victory, the difference between the share of votes cast for the winning candidate and second place. It's not silver medal. This is very different candidate in an election. We won by just 12,000 votes. Our community's increased turnout actually made the difference between winning and losing. And without our community, we would not have won Georgia in November. And we wouldn't have the momentum we currently have to win these runoff next Tuesday. And AAPIs can really help maintain that momentum that we need. If AAPIs turn out to elect John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, we will get the Democratic Senate. And the Senate can send us COVID-19 relief, improve healthcare, deliver racial injustice, communities of color, like you said, Viet, strengthen protections for the LGBTQ community, and so much more. But the one thing that I have seen that's really an issue is that AAPI participation tends to drop off during off-year runoff elections. And we really can't let that happen this time. It's really up to you to make sure we turn out the AAPI vote. So I encourage you all to text your friends, post on Facebook, spread the message. If you're on social media, all the various social media platforms, make sure everyone in your community understands that there is an election on Tuesday. They need to come out to vote. If AAPIs replicate their historic game-changing turnaround from last November, we can really win Georgia. So let's do it. Let's win. Let's go blue. And now I get to turn it over to my brother from another mother. I love BD Wong. He is, I call him brother, is a Tony Award-winning American actor. He was nominated for the Emmy and Television Critics' Choice Award for his role at White Rose in Mr. Robot. He's also known for roles on Law and Order, SUV, HBO's Oz Gotham, and he currently plays Wally Lum on Aquafina is Nora from Queens. He reprises his role as Dr. Henry Wu in Jurassic Park Dominion, to be released June 2022. I'm so excited. Most recently, BD has been supporting AAPI voter engagement efforts across the United States. So without further ado, BD Wong.
Hey, Michelle, and hey, everybody. Thank you so much. It is really true. Michelle's my little sister, and I have this kind of dual relationship with her, where I think of her as not an icon in one way, and I'm in awe of her, and then I'm very protective of her as a little sister. It's a very, very unique relationship, and part of that relationship has been that over the last 4 or 5 years, I have been seduced into the web of Democratic presidential nominee surrogacy through her magical leadership. And she has been really an incredible, not a lot of people really know this is what she's doing, but she has taken her adult life as it were, because many of us knew of her and admired her as a younger person. But now as a grown-up, she has taken the reins of leadership and kind of citizenship and become a real leader, and in specific to our community, because she is a real touchstone to our community for getting out the vote, simply getting out the vote. And this is why we're here today. And so I have spent the last three presidential elections being a surrogate and for the nominee, and having a wonderful experience at some points prior to this election, traveling the country to be a surrogate, and then during this election to be a kind of a virtual surrogate, where you can actually be a surrogate for more communities because you don't have to actually get on a plane. And I found this extremely rich. And of course, a lot of the energy that I have put into this has been directed by Michelle and the people that she works with to the Asian American Pacific Islander community and the South Asian community. And I have learned and been exposed to the crucial role that we play as a community. And this Georgia runoff on Tuesday is no exception. The stakes are so high. It's kind of like the climax of a really great movie. And we have seen over the 4 years, if you're like me, this kind of incredibly frustrating, infuriating 45th president and his ongoing, daily, maddening, unbelievable reign of terror. And we had a chance to right that wrong by voting him out in a national election, and we accomplished that. The national election elected Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and we are ringing them in with great joy. I'm sure that the workload that Michelle has been enjoying in the last few weeks has been much more enjoyable than the stress of the actual election. I'm sure it's very stressful, but preparing to inaugurate a new president is really, really a wonderful thing. But what we experience is the climax of a kind of victory. And this runoff is directly, possibly related to that victory. If we win this Tuesday runoff, then we have control, and that, and all the things that you guys already know, and that our investment in voting in this election really actually needs to go up, 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 rather than down, down, down. I mean, I think after the national election, a lot of people kind of might relax a little bit into their own sense of victory for having elected Joe Biden. But that is not what we need to be doing right now. We have to be really kind of redoubling our efforts. And as Asian Americans, I'm so glad that Viet went into such great detail with what is really very possible and what is at stake and why we should vote for these two gentlemen. But the fact is that as a community, we are really not well served by the other candidates at all. So I'm not even going to discuss why we should vote for them at all, because I believe that in this forum, it should be absolutely clear. And what I would say, though, is that what really can be useful is for us to really network at this point with our friends and family. And it is friends and family that are really among the most challenging kinds of relationships for us to conquer when it comes to voting, right? This is the most difficult thing to kind of get to happen, to get your friends and conservative friends and family to understand why this is so important. What is mostly important is that we get the people that are kind of on the fence or not sure whether they really need to vote or not on Tuesday to get out there and really do it, and to really at least secure the numbers that we had for the November election and try to raise them. Because it is really true. This community, particularly the Vietnamese American community, but also the Asian American community at large, is absolutely poised to be an actual influence in the outcome of the of how this all turns out. And so I'm really thrilled to be in that position. We are, one of my great platforms as an actor and a public person is representation. And this is a big word that we're all talking about now, and how important it is for us to be represented and for us to be having a voice. And this is the perfect example of how our voice is absolutely resonant and important and can be leveraged for something really extremely positive. So my energy about this is very positive. I wish, of course, that I could vote in this runoff. And because I can't, I am trying to pass my energy and my enthusiasm for the runoff to those of you in Georgia and those of you who know people in Georgia and can network with those people and convince them and seduce them and knock on doors and do the phone banking and all of the stuff that we are doing in these last few days to ensure a really, really positive outcome that we can all be really proud of as a family. So that's all I really have to say. I want to say thank you, and I'm really thrilled that this mechanism in place, all of the things that have come about to make Georgia the hot spot that it is, have been magical things that have come together. The Asian American community is one thing, and just the Fair Fight, a whole campaign, all of that coming together has been extremely moving to me, very, very powerful, because for 4 years, I personally was in a state of kind of despair about the outcome of the possibilities, and to see it kind of turn because human will and human energy and networking and believing in something really matter. That really is encouraging, because we're at a point now where we're looking so forward with the new year and everything to move into a new energy and a new sense of hope. This is one of those things that can really make a huge difference for us. So thank you for listening very much. I'm here and I'm going to continue on the chain of this evening of events and present to you some comments from actor Manish Dayal.
Hi everyone, Manish Dayal here in Georgia right now. I'm thrilled to be here with you. South Asians have a unique opportunity to help flip the Senate. For years, our communities have been ignored. So no moment has ever been more important in determining the future of our country than right now, right here. There are over 100,000 South Asians right here in Georgia that need to turn up for this election. Indian Americans are the largest Asian American group in Georgia. South Asians are the second largest immigrant community in this country. So we played a really big role in the Biden win. And here now, Asian Americans have the margin of victory in these races. The 2 U.S. Senate runoff elections will determine the path forward for our country and for our future. To be a part of a shift like this in our country is a real privilege for us and for the generations that come after us. To activate communities like ours that have been otherwise ignored in the past. That's how we're going to win this thing. South Asian Americans played a key role in this election. I think this year we turned a totally new page for sure. But we are a relatively new immigrant community in the US. Many of us still have family members and elders that don't speak fluent English. So it's not just about encouraging our family and elders to vote, but also how to vote. Language barriers have always hurt our turnout in the past. Our voter turnout rate is still behind that of white voters. So what we have to do is take responsibility of educating our loved ones about this process, whether that means encouraging them to vote or literally putting them in the car because they can't drive. It's working because AAPI voters nearly doubled compared to 2016. And growing up, we didn't see tailored outreach towards communities like ours, and that's going to change. Just like we did for the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris win, we have to make phone calls, send texts, and show up on January 5th and win these seats. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nik Dodani. I am an actor and comedian. First, I want to thank all the organizers for having us and for doing all the work that you are doing on the ground in Georgia. We're so close to being done, and honestly, that's why I'm here, because I'm really tired. I'm really tired, and I'm ready for all this to be over. I mean, the fact that we have the most important election of our lifetime happening again is a lot. So I hope we can win this thing, because I'm sad. I am here to introduce a few special folks to play a game called Hollywood Squares, backed by popular demand. I will be your game master. So let's meet today's incredible participants. We have Michelle Kwan former American figure skater, current national treasure. She served as director of surrogates for the Biden-Harris presidential campaign and is currently serving as a senior advisor on the inaugural committee. So you are the one I talked about tickets. Cool, gonna note that. Next up is BD Wong, a Tony Award-winning actor. Iconic man. Hello, BD.
Hello.
Best known for his role on Mr. Robot, currently on Aquafina's Noir from Queens, about to be on Jurassic Park Dominion. Most recently, BD has been supporting Asian American voter engagement efforts across the United States, as well as My Little Gay Heart. We also have with us Sendhil Ramamurthy, a native of San Antonio, Texas, best known for his role as Mohinder Suresh in the NBC sci-fi drama Heroes. He's currently starring in the new Mindy Kaling show, Never Have I Ever, playing the role of Hot Daddy. Next up, we have Gingger Shankar. She is a composer and the only woman who plays the double violin. She was born into one of the world's most acclaimed musical families, has composed First Lady Michelle Obama's film We Will Rise, and has done so many other incredible things. Hello, Gingger.
Hi.
Finally, we have Leonardo Nam, an Australian actor who made his breakthrough as Roy in The Perfect Score and gained further recognition for his roles in The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift and in Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants 2. Leonardo is well known for his role as Felix Less on the critically acclaimed award-winning HBO series Westworld. Okay, now that I've gone through the Wikipedia articles on my computer, we are going to begin the game. How many of you have watched Hollywood Squares on Game Show Network? You all familiar with it? Yeah? Okay. It's pretty straightforward. We're going to play our own version of this game. It's about the Georgia runoff election, of course. I'm going to ask each of you a question to see how well you know Jon Ossoff and Reverend Warnock. Are y'all ready?
Oh, gosh.
Michelle, this first question is for you, and it is about Reverend Warnock. Reverend Warnock often talks about the influence of his parents, both of whom were pastors in his life, growing up in Savannah, Georgia. What did his father tell the Reverend to do every day when he woke him up in the morning? A, eat a full breakfast. B, put his shoes on. And C, go for a run.
Oh, geez. Nick, first of all, you're a good game master. I love it. Great title to add to your resume, to your bio next time. Let's see. Well, A sounds, it would make sense, right? Eat a full breakfast before, but you can't do anything without your shoes on, I guess. I guess if it, or go for a run. I would say, it kind of reminds me of what my dad would say to me, like go for a run, warm up before I get on the ice, or something like put your skates on. But I think it would be, I think I heard this, it's put his shoes on. So,
Correct. That is right.
what do I win? What do I win?
I think you win my applause.
Thank you.
Worth
You're
its weight in gold.
BD, this next one is for you, and it is about Mr. Jon Ossoff. John talks very fondly of his wife, sadly, who he met in high school. Her name is Alicia Kramer. She's a physician working at Emory Hospital in Atlanta. What type of medicine does Alicia practice?
I know what this is.
Oh, you do? What do
Yes,
you want the options, or do you want to
lady.
dive in?
No. Okay. Yes. No, I don't. I don't. She's a lady doctor. She's a lady doctor.
You're gonna have to give us a little more than that.
She's an OBGYN.
There it is.
She went to Georgetown with a major in biology. She went to Emory Medical School, and then she's now, I guess Emory must be like a teaching hospital or something. She's a doctor at Emory.
Wow, that is
and
impressive.
They've been together for a long time. They're super young. They've been together for like 15 years.
That's so beautiful.
That's a deep dive.
I know. How do you know so much about her?
Well, it's not that hard to find out about people.
All right, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Well done. All right, that's 2 for 2. Sendhil, you're next. Let's see if you can, continue this winning streak.
All right.
This question for you is also about Reverend Warnock. All right, so many Georgians have now seen the ad of Reverend Warnock with his beagle saying, "Get ready, Georgia." What is the name of Reverend Warnock's beagle?
Okay,
A,
so
Bailey.
There's choices.
B, Bo, and C, Sim.
Bailey, Bo, or sim?
Correct.
Okay, so I have to confess I have not seen the commercials. So I'm going to employ the scientific method and divine the answer. A is what was A?
Bailey.
Well, Bailey, thank you. They all see that makes sense because I'm dismissing A out of hand because that's the name of a horrendous ex-girlfriend. So that's why I forgot it. I had wiped it from my memory, and thank you for the reminder. There we go.
Scientific method?
Yeah, this is
very scientific.
highly scientific method.
Okay.
That was neuroscience right there that I was just throwing at you guys. Okay, so that's A gone. B was Bo the Beagle. That's good alliteration. That's a good one. Bo the Beagle, Sim the Beagle. Sim the Beagle.
SIM?
SIM. That's like a SIM card, like in your phone. That doesn't seem like a beagle. I'm going Bo the Beagle for the alliteration, for the win. Final answer.
That is an excellent choice of answer. However, you are wrong. The correct answer is
Whatever.
Sim the Beagle.
Sim the Beagle. Okay, I would like to propose that it be changed to Bo the Beagle for alliterative purposes.
And Bo's one of Joe Biden's sons.
Yes, that's what.
Exactly.
That
exactly.
Confuse people, I think. We're all glad it wasn't Bailey.
Bailey, I think, is Elizabeth Warren's dog.
Wow. So
you're gonna have trouble with Elizabeth Warren now.
I know.
All right, that was a decent effort. Next up, we have Ginger. Let's see how well you know John Ossoff. Recently, David Perdue mocked John Ossoff for eating a particular food at a popular Atlanta restaurant. What was the food? A, grits. B, vegan burger. C, fried green tomatoes.
Ooh, okay. Sendhil, I have not dated any of these, so I have no scientific methods here.
You've never dated a vegan burger.
Never dated a vegan burger, sadly.
I don't recommend
it. I don't think it's going to be grits. I'm going to go with vegan burger.
You are correct.
Yay!
You are correct.
Without even dating one, Sendhil.
This is rigged.
Okay, so somebody has put in the chat. Somebody's put in the chat that Bo is Obama's dog.
Oh, Bo is Obama's
I totally
dog.
forgot about that.
I knew it was somebody's dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well done, Ginger. So Sendhil, so far you are the only one who has not gone into it.
Okay.
This next one is for you, Leo. Leo, this is a broader question about AAPI voters in Georgia. What percentage of Georgia's voting eligible population is made up of Asian Americans? A, 3%, B, 6%, C, 8%.
I have to say, I think it's, I'm just going to go again the Sendhil way, just totally scientific right now. Just, gonna pull it out from,
I feel you, brother. I feel you.
Yep. And I'm definitely not looking on Google. I'm definitely not doing that. Definitely. So I am going to say eyeline over there, eyeline over here. Well, I'm going to say it's 6%.
Is that your final answer?
No. No. Yes, it is.
That's what I would guess. Who cares what I think, of course.
I appreciate that, BD.
Yeah, that's what I would guess.
I'm going to say 6%.
Okay, that is incorrect.
Oh.
With Google?
With Google.
I mean, I definitely was not on Google. I was saying
Oh, you really weren't on Google. Oh,
I really wasn't on
doing
Google.
The
I
thing where
really
you
was.
were lying.
Apparently. I was trying to keep it just here right now. But I'm gonna guess 6. Well, what's the real answer?
The correct answer is
Right.
A, 3%, which,
3%.
as folks have said, can be the margin of victory in
Well,
this race.
amen.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
good, man.
Just 3% is still a powerful, powerful, powerful amount. There are hundreds of thousands of us in the state of Georgia that can help win this thing. Oh, hey, that's it. That concludes our game. So everybody won except for Sendhil and Leo.
Right.
Come on.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for playing, all of you. And thank you all for watching. I hope you learned some fun facts about Jon Ossoff and Reverend Warnock. I hope you have all voted early. And if you have not, make sure to vote in person on January 5th or drop off your mail-in ballot. Don't mail it in. Drop it off by 7 p.m. on January 5th.
Tuesday.
What was that?
Tuesday.
Yes.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Next up, we have a special video message from Reverend Raphael Warnock.
Well, thank you so very much. And what an honor to be here with all of you. I'm grateful for the ways in which you are showing up in our electorate, and you are exercising your strength in this great democracy of ours. A people knit together not on the basis of race or ethnicity, not on the basis of national origin or religion, but knit together by a grand idea, e pluribus unum, out of many one. And the AAPI community is a part of that wonderful mosaic, that kaleidoscopic imagery of a people who come together in all of their diversity. And the glory is in the diversity. America is a great country, not in spite of its diversity, but because of it. I know that the folks who are on this call know that, and you bring a richness and depth to what it means for us to become a more perfect union. I am Raphael Warnock. I'm a child of Georgia through and through. My dad's from Burke County and Screven County. My mother, as has been said, grew up in Waycross, Georgia, picking somebody else's tobacco and somebody else's cotton. But because we are America, because there's always a path, her youngest son is now running for the Senate. And the hands that used to pick somebody else's tobacco and cotton now get to pick her youngest son to be one of 2 United States senators from the great state of Georgia. Only in America is my story even possible. And I'm running because I believe so much in that promise. And I'm running because I worry that that promise is slipping away from too many of our children, not just in urban, hardscrabble environments like the one I grew up in, but in disaffected rural communities in North Georgia and all across our state. There's a growing divide and chasm between the haves and the have-nots. I serve and I preach every Sunday from a church where Martin Luther King Jr. stood with his father from 1960 to 1968. And all of us know that Dr. King left us while he was in Memphis. And what was he doing in Memphis? He was standing up for workers. He was standing up for garbage collectors who were just standing up for their humanity. They didn't mind working. They understood the dignity of work. There's nothing undignified about being a garbage collector. That's not what made the situation for them undignified. What was undignified was the ways in which their humanity was not honored. And what they contributed was not valued, was undervalued. And so they stood up. And when they stood up, we saw those signs go up that are now etched in American history. I am a man. What a simple and yet powerful declaration. It's only marginalized people who have to have movements and marches and signs to declare about themselves that which ought to be obvious. I am a man. Black Lives Matter. And still there's pushback, even with the simplest of assertions, when people are marginalized. And so that's why in this moment, we have to absolutely stand up for one another. Because the truth about our complicated and yet glorious American story is that it is just that, it is complicated. It is the land of the free, and yet there is the underbelly of the bigotry and xenophobia and there are always those who are trying to stir it up for political gain and for other reasons. And so I have witnessed with sadness the ways in which our Asian sisters and brothers have been maligned over the last several months in the wake of this virus, as if they're the enemy. The virus is the enemy. And if there's anything that a virus ought to teach us, a global airborne disease ought to teach us, is that we are tied together, as Dr. King said, in a single garment of destiny, caught up in an inescapable network of mutuality. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. As I've witnessed the terrible toll that this virus is taking on our country and people all over the world, I've found myself putting it this way. We are as close together in our humanity as a cough. That's how close we are. We're as close as a cough, as close as a sneeze. In the midst of a deadly airborne disease, my neighbor coughs and I'm potentially in peril. Does that make my neighbor my enemy? Of course not. Doesn't make my neighbor my enemy. It just means that I ought to want that person to be covered, because they might be the one uncovered, but if they're uncovered, I'm unprotected. And so we have to look out for one another. We have to stand up for one another. E pluribus unum, out of many, a people knit together by a grand idea that we are stronger and better together. And so in this defining moment in American history, let's redouble our efforts, recommit ourselves to pushing hard against the demagogues, pushing hard against the agents of division. Some of them are attacking me right now. They're throwing every wedge issue that they can, trying to turn constituencies and communities and people that I care about into a wedge issue. And we have to stand up and say no more, because we know what they're doing. People who have no vision traffic and division. They don't know how to lead us, and so they try to divide us. And it's up to us to stand up, because not only do I need my neighbor to have health care, I need my neighbor to have a livable wage. I need their children to have access to good schools so that they can pay into Social Security, so I can be taken care of when the time comes for me to need it. And so thank you so much. I'm so proud and happy about what's happening in the AAPI community, the way in which your numbers and your participation in the electoral process in Georgia has increased so powerfully over the last 5-10 years. And we know that it's only going to get better. And in a close election with you holding 4% of the electoral share, that can absolutely swing an election. Mm-hmm. And so I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for your support. I'm asking you to tell your friends and family, people who haven't met me, that you were on this call. Tell them that I'm a person of faith, but I respect people of various faith traditions, the glimpse and the glory, the light that's in every human being. Tell them that I believe that a vote is a kind of prayer for the kind of world that we want to live in. And that I believe the vote is the political expression of a moral and ethical idea. And that is that every human being has worth, and that's why we have to defend it. When we defend voting rights, we defend human dignity. Tell them that I believe that we shouldn't call people essential workers and refuse to pay them an essential wage. And that I believe a child's outcome shouldn't be determined by their parents' income. We can create opportunity for all of our children. And when we do that, all of us are better. I am hopeful, even in this dark moment, even as difficult as it is. You know, let me wrap this up by saying, you know, as I was growing up, my dad used to wake me up every morning. He had a serious work ethic, and he passed that on to me, and I'm glad he did. He used to wake me up at dawn 7 days a week, Didn't matter whether it was school year or during the summer, because he felt you should get up and get moving. He said, boy, get up, son, get ready, get dressed, put your shoes on. And I said, well, get ready for what? It's, it was summertime. I was a little boy. He said, I don't know. I'll figure out what I want you to get ready to do. I'll figure that out later. Just get ready. Be ready for whatever it is. And he poured that into me. And I took that with me all the way to Morehouse College, even though I didn't have enough money for the first semester, went there on faith. And in 4 years, I graduated, went on to get 2 master's degrees, PhD degree, became the pastor of Ebenezer Church. Because he told me to get ready. And I'm saying to you in this moment that we have to be ready. He used to wake me up at dawn. And the thing about dawn is that it's morning, but it's still dark. I know it's dark right now. People have lost loved ones. You've lost livelihoods. It's dark. But morning comes. It's our job to put our moral clothes on, put our shoes on, get ready in this defining moment in American history. Georgia is at the center of that moment. I ask that you would please send me and John Ossoff to the U.S. Senate, and we'll make you proud.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rohit Kirpalani. I am a long-term resident of Atlanta, Georgia, and a volunteer with South Asians for Biden. It is for all the reasons that Reverend Warnock laid out that folks like me came out in record numbers to vote for Biden and Harris. And on November 3rd, Georgia rejected the politics of anger, fear, and bigotry, but by a very narrow margin of less than 12,000 votes. And in 2 days, the Georgia Senate runoffs will determine whether Biden and Harris will have a workable Senate to deliver on the promises they have made to Americans who are desperate for a government which works for the people. Today, it is clear that the country is divided into patriots who believe in the promise of American democracy, however flawed the journey may have been, and those hell-bent on destroying it. I know what I just said may sound hyperbolic, but that is the dystopian reality we are all living in right now. I believe this because on January 6th, at least 140 House members and 12 senators will refuse to accept the will of the people. They will refuse to accept electors from certain states unless Congress passes a law establishing a commission to conduct an emergency audit of the results. They claim that this extraordinary exercise is necessary because tens of millions of Americans believe that the election was stolen. But this is circular logic. Trump and all his minions are the ones who have aggressively promoted the falsehood that Biden did not win. They are the ones who have lied incessantly that illegals voted for Biden, that dead people voted for Biden, that the voting machines somehow converted Trump votes into Biden votes. None of this has been supported by any evidence, but after convincing Trump voters that their candidate won and that the election had been stolen, now they're saying, wow, look at all the millions of voters who don't have confidence in our election. So we need an investigation to restore confidence. It's a vicious circle of spreading false allegations and then demanding an investigation. All these false claims have been universally rejected. No credible evidence has been provided. So the choice facing Georgia voters on Tuesday couldn't be more stark. On the Trumpian side, you have ignorance, corruption, bigotry. You have Kelly Loeffler, who proudly asserts that she is more fascist and anti-democratic than Attila the Hun. And you have David Perdue, who mocked the name of Kamala Harris, a fellow senator, at a Trump rally in Georgia. They have cozied up to white supremacists, QAnon conspiracy theorists, and have attacked the legitimacy of Georgia's election. We need elected representatives like Warnock and Ossoff who will fight for our democracy and not for those who actively work to disenfranchise people of color or deny us our rights as Americans just because our name is not of European stock. I would like to now introduce my friend and colleague at South Asians for Biden, Rajesh Kurup, who will share with you the AAPI's community engagement efforts and his own political awakening and active participation to flip Georgia blue. Rajesh.
Thank you, Rohit, for that message. Friends, my name is Rajesh Kurup, and I'm a volunteer with South Asians for Biden Georgia chapter. I just want to take a few minutes to tell you my personal story and why this election has meant so a lot to me. My parents were among the first Indian immigrants into the US in the mid-1960s, and we settled in Richmond, Virginia in 1967. My father set up his medical practice and became one of the first doctors of color in a white hospital in Richmond, the former capital of the Confederacy. At that time, there weren't a lot of Indians in Richmond, and I think we knew every single one of them. My father, at that time, established links with the Black community in Richmond and became friends with a young man when he ran for and became mayor of Richmond. As Mayor Doug Wilder became Governor Wilder, the first Black governor of Virginia, their friendship grew. And my father worked to use his influence in the Indian community to build a small but active role for Indians in Richmond politics. After he retired, he continued to host fundraisers for Democrats within the Indian community. And this built my interest in retail politics. I honor him by working on phone banking and canvassing. In fact, my first phone bank efforts was to support Paul Tsongas in his bid against a young Southern upstart, Bill Clinton. I personally feel very energized meeting with voters face to face and listening to why they support a candidate and hearing what they have to say about the issues rather than going through the muck of what the polls tell us or what the media tells us. Over the past 6 months, as I've called South Asian voters on behalf of South Asians for Biden, they felt a growing confidence in turning Georgia blue. Over the last month, as I've gone door to door to talk about Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, that conviction has grown. Georgians are ready for Senator Ossoff and Senator Warnock. My father passed away this year shortly after the election. As he was in the hospital room, he was happy to know that a woman of Indian descent had been elected vice president. For him and his generation, they felt like they were working in the background. His generation raised money, but they didn't have the electoral clout to ask for power in return. For Asian Americans, this is not an end to this election, but a beginning. This is the beginning for us to learn how to use our voice, how to use our electoral power. We've read the numerous articles in national media about the power of the Asian American vote, and especially in Georgia. We have to recognize our collective power and decide how we want to use it. I'm proud of having been part of South Asians for Biden and helping creating those steps for the future. At this time, I want to introduce Arianna Afsar, and she's a singer-songwriter with placements in ABC, Disney, and Amazon. A graduate of ethnomusicology from UCLA, she just released her concept album distributed by Sony Masterworks, We Won't Sleep, Songs from the Musical Jeanette. She is the composer of Jeanette, a musical about the first woman elected in Congress, developed at the O'Neill NMTC, where she won the Lyricist Award. Last fall, she composed a piece, Allegory, produced by the La Jolla Playhouse. She's opened for Michelle Obama, presented before Gloria Steinem, highlighted by Jane Fonda, and opened at the ACLU National Conference with Brian Stevenson as the keynote speaker. She was original Eliza in Chicago's Hamilton, Miss California 2010, top 10 at Miss America 2011, and top 36 American Idol alum. Finally, she's a co-founder of Until We Do It, providing masks to communities disproportionately affected by COVID-19. And with that, I turn it over.
Thank you so much, Rohit and Rajesh, for all of the work that you are doing in Georgia. I've had the privilege to work with Her Term, which is an organization based out in Georgia focusing on getting women elected into state offices, and the power and the strength and the community that is embedded and is the underbelly of Georgia for a progressive future is incredibly amazing to see with every Georgian that I meet. I'm honored to be here with this incredible crew. What an awesome night it has been. It's been super fun for me to just sit back and watch. Something that B.D. Wong said earlier, which I think really resonated with me as a Broadway performer and composer, is about representation. I was 6 years old when I saw Aladdin, which let's not go into the conversation of where Agrabah is, but for the first time, I felt like I saw myself in Princess Jasmine. And then I found out that Leah Salonga, which is a incredibly Tony Award-winning Broadway actress, one of the first Asian American Tony Award-winning Broadway actresses, played the voice of Leah Salonga. And then I thought, well, if she can do that, maybe I can do that too. And to see Kamala Harris as the vice president-elect about to take office, she is showing, as we saw in her speech, the importance and the value in little boys and little girls and all individuals of what a first Black and South Asian woman can do, being able to hold one of the highest positions in our country. Representation matters, and having her be a representative of our community, me as a Bangladeshi American, confirms just that. I believe that art changes culture and culture changes policy. That's why I'm an artist. I am passionate about changing the conversation so we can actually implement the culture changing policy. The song that I'm about to sing for you is from this musical Jeanette that I'm a composer of, about the first female identifying Congress member to be elected into office 4 years before the ratification of the 19th Amendment, which gave white women the right to vote. She started a foundation in Athens, Georgia, so I feel like I'm a little bit connected in my obsession of Jeanette Rankin. The song is called We Won't Sleep, and the continuation to support candidates John Ossoff and Reverend Warnock continues the requirement of all of us standing up and supporting the 3% representation of AAPI community in Georgia. It is our responsibility to stand for these candidates. So I hope that music gives you a little bit of inspiration as well. It's called We Won't Sleep. No, not when we know that they start to fade while we're wide awake and feeling alive. Been staying up late cause we know the stakes of love's on the line. We won't sleep, they'll try to get us, but we gon' reach out for love. We won't sleep, no, not till it's over, even with the blurry eyes. Baby, we won't compromise, talking for the pride. Say we got no time, but the villain's gonna rise. It's not too late to realize we can be the first and not be fooled by words. So we're gonna learn how to wake up and change the world. We won't sleep, they'll try to get us, but we gon' reach out for love. We won't sleep, no, not till it's over, even with the blurry eyes. Baby, we won't compromise. Compromise. Named by Variety, The Wrap, and other publications as a rising star to watch in young Hollywood, Hudson Yang began his performing career less than 18 months before being cast as Fresh Off the Boat star Eddie Huang. Over the course of 4 seasons to date, Yang's performance has garnered him multiple NAACP Image Award nominations for Outstanding Performance by a Youth and Teen Choice Awards. Please welcome Hudson Yang.
Hey, I'm Jeff Yang.
I'm Hudson Yang.
Hudson Yang is the real reason why we're here. Even though you're not old enough to vote, right?
I am not, but I will be in, what, next year?
Next year, you'll be old enough to vote.
Not that there's going to be any huge elections, but still important ones.
Every election is important.
Yes, exactly. I said that.
So every election is important. And actually, one of the most important ones is about to happen. We are here because we're trying to get folks out there, if you're living in Georgia, if you're Asian American especially.
And of legal age to vote.
And if you're legal age to vote. to vote in the runoff that's happening in just a couple of days at this point. But we wanted to begin actually just by talking about 2020 and about 2021. Because
I mean, yeah, I think about New Year's resolutions, everyone knows them,
yeah.
everyone has them. I think the most important thing about New Year's resolutions is that they're about making better change. And so for me, my New Year's resolution is to find a New Year's resolution.
No, you have some resolutions you've talked about. I mean, look, you're going to school.
Yeah.
You're going to college this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any resolutions related to going to college?
I mean, interestingly enough, I haven't really had a normal education for the past couple of years.
You've been on set.
I've been on set. I've been in a different school every year. Haven't really had a chance to, jump into classes. So my New Year's resolution is to, I guess do that, enjoy classrooms.
There are a bunch of great books you could probably catch up on.
Yes, I love reading.
The works of Shakespeare. Hey.
Yes. My resolution is just to try to find a better me. What about you?
A better you? Your you isn't
I'm
that
pretty
bad.
great. I know.
You don't have to say that. I get to say that.
I can say it
I
too,
can
though.
praise you.
I'm so humble.
All right. Well, I have resolutions. I'd say my biggest resolutions involve taking care of myself better, taking care of my family better. I'm hoping that one of the resolutions I will have is to get the vaccine as soon as possible for COVID, so that we can all return to a little bit more of a normal world and
Mom
society.
already got the vaccine.
Yes, Hudson, your mom did get the vaccine. She's a frontline healthcare worker. That is actually something which I also think we should all resolve to do. Give a little something back.
Support our frontline workers.
Frontline healthcare workers. There are a lot of them in our family, doctors.
A lot of them in our family.
I mean, I don't want to make it sound like an Asian stereotype thing, but
we have a lot of doctors and lawyers.
Well, yes, doctors, lawyers, engineers. But the fact is, in the healthcare space, these are the people who have been fighting for us, and we definitely need to support them this year. I also want to get into shape. Speaking of healthcare,
me too.
I mean, you are in
better than
good
before,
shape.
but there's still a long way to go. So.
Well, I've been really impressed with how much you've been able to change yourself and really grow up in a lot of different ways in 2020.
Thank you. Hopefully 2021 will be all the more better.
Yes. Well, so all that is what I think we've talked about resolving. But if anything, I think the biggest resolution that we need to make, and hopefully all of you who are in Georgia will make, is to remake America. And I think the biggest path to that will be to go vote. Because in this runoff, everything is in the balance.
Yeah. And as I've said, and many other people have said, every single vote counts. You alone can change the world.
Only 16,000 people brought Georgia home for Democrats in the presidential election. The margin of difference could be even smaller this time round. And Asian Americans are 3% of the Georgian electorate. So far, apparently, based on the stats we've seen, 2.5% of the electorate is Asian American now. So we're a little undervoting. So if you're in Georgia, you're Asian American, you're listening to us, get out there, vote.
Go and vote, yes. Safely, and if COVID friendly, but vote. Please do.
Well, not friendly to COVID.
Well, COVID safe, COVID protected. Safe. I mean, same thing as saying COVID.
Wear a mask. Yes. So thanks all. Have a great new year. Let's start that new year out great by, electing some senators.
2020 has been rough.
2021,
let's make it all the more better.
It will be better. Peace.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Bowling, and I am the field director down here in Georgia. I want to give you a quick update on what we're doing here and tell you how you can get involved before we end today. So if I can get the slide with a little bit of our stats. We have a really good group of volunteers that are down here with us. They've come from all over the country, and we even have a volunteer from Canada knocking doors with us. So far, in a really short amount of time, we have knocked on 3,700 doors. We've had conversation with over 1,000 voters. And we are mostly focused on all of the counties outside of Atlanta. So we're looking at Chatham County, where Savannah is, Henry County, which is south of Atlanta, Columbia and Richmond, which is where Augusta is, and Forsyth, which is north of Atlanta. We've also made over 3.48 calls, K calls, and we are keeping going. And I want to tell you how you can get involved. Like everyone said, you should reach out to your friends and family that are here in Georgia and tell them how to vote. But you should also tell them to make a plan to vote, and then tell them to call their friends and family and have them make a plan to vote. Make sure they know where their voting location is. Make sure you come up with a plan on how they're going to get there. And if they can't get there, then we can also help them figure out a way to get to the polls. And then if you can and you feel safe, please come down to Georgia and canvass with us. We've had really good reception at the doors. We've had an over 20% contact rate when we go out to the doors and knock on them. And we feel a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're Asian and we're knocking on Asian doors, and people feel really a lot more comfortable and are open to having a conversation. And we've been able to really assist a lot of people to get to the, figure out where their polling locations are and help them get ready to vote. So if you can, please come down and canvass for the last 2 days. And if you can't and you don't feel comfortable, that's great. You can also phone bank with us. We are doing a phone bank tomorrow with Human Rights Campaign from 2 to 4. I will drop the link in the chat for you. But please, thank you so much for all your support. We have just a little bit time to go. And then we hopefully everything will be in our favor. So thank you so much for your support and thank you for coming. And I'm going to hand it off to Harini to close us out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Hi, everyone. My name is Harini Krishnan, and I'm here on behalf of South Asians for Biden. I just want to express our heartfelt gratitude to the incredible special guests for joining us today. Michelle Kwan, B.D. Wong, Leonardo Nam, Viet Nguyen, Hudson Yang, Gingger Shankar, Arianna Afsar, Sendhil Ramamurthy, Manish Dayal, and a special note of gratitude to the inspiring Reverend Raphael Warnock for his powerful message. We also want to thank all of you for joining us, many of whom have been phone banking, text banking, canvassing voters in Georgia, helping with translation into AAPI languages, and so much more. Thanks to you, we have more than 25,000 calls to Georgia voters. We have sent more than 40,000 postcards, translated campaign materials into numerous AAPI languages, coordinated countless volunteers canvassing in rural counties in Georgia, and created numerous videos and digital content. And we're so grateful for you. To those of you among the 3 million voters who have voted early in Georgia, thank you. To those of you Georgians who have not yet voted, please either drop off your mail-in ballot at a drop box by 7 p.m. on Election Day, January 5th, or vote this Tuesday and make your voice heard. To those of you tuning in from out of state, text 5 of your friends and family in Georgia and check in to see if they have voted. Keep making calls, texting voters. And if you're able to canvass in Georgia, go to the link in chat and sign up to canvass. With the incredible AAPI canvassing efforts that are being coordinated, the AAPI community was the margin of victory in key battleground states to help elect President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Devi Harris. And we once again can be the margin of victory to help elect Jon Ossoff and Reverend Warnock on January 5th. Thank you for joining us and have a great night. And Georgia, we got this. So let's go.